Alrighty, good morning, sixth graders. Today we are going to be looking at sales tax tips and markups. So let's go ahead and add that into our table of contents. So sales tax, tips, and markups. And I believe for me this will end up being probably 2 pages. So I'm going to say 12 to 13. All right. So I'm sure you guys have heard these terms before. Maybe you guys were trying to buy something and you wanted to get the best deal. Maybe you went out to dinner and you needed to pay a tip. So let's kind of look at this. This is a really good applicable skill that you'll be using probably for the rest of your life. So it's really great that we're going over this. And like I say, it's always good to kind of see where we would use our concepts that we're learning. So let's go ahead and jump right in so you can see how you'll be using this. So I'm going to title my page, Sales Tax, Tips, and Markups. And this is page 12, and it is circled and good to go. Okay, so let's go over first what sales tax is. So all 3 of these items that you're going to be working with, you're going to be doing a similar process, and you're going to be using your percentages that we've been practicing. So our sales tax is our first one that we're going to look at. So sales tax. And what sales tax is it's an additional amount of money that's charged on items. So that people buy. So the total cost, when we're talking about the total cost of an item, is the regular price, so before it has a sales tax on it, plus the sales tax. So this you will be kind of seeing for more than just sales tax. So the regular price is before we add our tip or our markup. So this is something that you should probably underline because you'll be using it for all 3, and it's good to know. Just replace sales tax with tips and markups, and you'll kind of see that process as we move along. So I'm going to keep all of my sales tax examples together in one color so I can see the differences when I look at my notes. So let's look at an example that we're going to work with. So example, Drew wants to buy a TV or equipment. Equipment that costs $140. So, and the sales tax is 5.75%. So we want to find the total cost. So what is the total cost? All right, again, I'm going to kind of highlight that so I can see. All right, so let's look at our first method to solve this. So method 1. Okay, so you're going to add the sales tax to the regular price. All right, so first when we do this, we are gonna first, you can box it, you can do whatever to know that this is step one. Find the sales tax. And to do this, you're going to do our part equals percent times whole. Except here, since we're looking for the part, so if you think about it, we're using this formula a lot. We used it a little bit yesterday too, or the other day. So part equals percent times whole. So when we do that, we're gonna look for the part if we're just looking for the tax amount. So we're trying to figure out how much on our $140 TV is 5.745%. So that's the part that we're looking for. So T equals tax, and we are looking for the part. And you can highlight if you want, underline that you're looking for the part when you do this method. If we're looking for the whole, then we would be doing the entire price. We're just looking for the tax price. So let's go ahead and do that. So our T is, and we have to change our percent into a decimal, right? So we have to do some moving of our decimal. So we have 100, T equals 0.0575 times 140. So that's when I moved it, 1, 2. So I have my 0 that I fill in under my little swoop. So now I have 0.075 times 140. And when I do my answer, so I would like you guys to check this. So I want you to pause and try and see if you get the answer, and then you're gonna check it in a minute, okay? So pause and then come back for the answer. Okay, hopefully you guys paused. So T, when you multiply these two numbers, should be about 8.05. So remember, we're working with money, right? So when we're working with money, we don't have cents that go into the thousands place, so we need to stay at 2 numbers behind the decimal. If you go to 3 and it keeps repeating, then just round up to the nearest hundredth. So if it's greater than 5, it's gonna go up, and if it's less than 5, the hundredth will stay at what it is. So now we have our part. So our part, or our tax amount, is $8.05. So to find the whole amount, because we're trying to find the total cost, so we have to add this on to what our original cost was. So our original cost was $140. All right, I'm gonna write the step actually so you guys can remember. So add sales tax, or add the percent. My brain's working faster. So add sales tax to the regular price. So you just found the part of our whole cost, right? Our whole cost of $140. So you found technically 5.75% of that, so our part. So now we're gonna go back and we're gonna find what the total amount was, our total cost that we're looking for right here. So to do that, I'm gonna say $140 plus, what amount did I find? $8.05. So when we add these up, we should get $148.75. Okay. So I'm going to box this in, and I know that that's my final answer. I ran out of room, but I would like if you guys can practice your addition. Remember, there's the invisible decimal point right here, so really you should be lining 8 up right there. So check if you're not getting these answers, check to make sure you're lining up our invisible decimal points. And then you're kind of making sure that you're keeping it with the same order of adding the tenths plus the tens place and hundredths with the hundredths place. All right, so let's look at method 2. Okay, so method 2, you're going to add the percent of tax to 100%. Okay, so let's look at what that's going to look like. So we're still using our exact same example of method 1, or of Drew wants to buy equipment that costs $140, and the sales tax is $5.75%. So on top of our $140, so it's 5% of that. So what's our total cost? So our first method, we looked at finding the part. So we looked at finding what the percent was, and now we're going to add that on. So 5.75% of 140 is $8.05. So now we're looking for the whole. So the whole price altogether. So we're first going to add the percent of tax to 100%. Okay, so what does that look like? So 100% are full percentage, right? Plus 5.75%. So we're adding our percentage that we're working with, our sales tax right here, to 100%. And we can kind of see why we're going to do that here in a second. So you get 105 and 75%. Okay. So this is the number that you're working with now. So we ignore our 5.75%. So now we're going to let T represent the total. And we're going to still work with the same formula. So we're going to have part equals percent times whole, and T is our whole. So let's go ahead and get started. So T equals, so we're finding our whole, 1 point, remember we're changing this into a decimal, so we're moving that over and it should go right here. So we have 1.0575 times 140, because that's how much it costs. So we are looking for the total. So actually I want you guys to, I don't want to confuse you at all. So let's write it as our T equals, we're working with our 140, right? So what is our 140 in our formula? So that is our price, right? Times our new percentage, okay? So 140 plus our percentage, and that's going to get us our total. I just don't want to confuse you at all. So let's go ahead and use that. So that's what you're doing here, and then when you multiply this out, I want you to check my answer because I do make mistakes. We are going to go and stop at the hundredths place, and we're going to do 148.05 cents. Okay, so we still get similar answers, right? Not exactly the same. They should be the similar answers. And then we will see how we get the same thing using two different methods. So let's go ahead and look at tips and markups because they're the exact same. So tips and markups. So if you don't know what a tip is, it's a small amount of money given in return for a service. Okay, so a markup is when a store sells an item so it's when it sells an item for more than it actually pays to make those items. So a markup is when a store sells an item for more than what the item costs. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and pause here for 1 second. Make sure you guys are writing all of this down, and then we are going to come back and we are going to work on our two methods that are the same as these to find our tips and markup. All right, hi friends. We are back, and the sound in the video actually did not record, so I'm having to do this as a voiceover. So you won't hear sound for like a few seconds as I wait for the next voiceover to start. So just be patient. Your computer's not broken or anything, so just wait for the next voice recording. Alrighty, sixth graders, so you just saw me go back and change our 7 to a 0 because we are, I did the math wrong in that and I couldn't read my handwriting. So that just is a emphasis on the fact that you should make sure you are being nice and neat as you do math. So this is me actually kind of recording my voice after the fact. For some reason, the second video did not record sound, which is super awesome. So here I am comparing our method 1 and method 2. So method 1, we are adding the sales tax to the regular price. We're just trying to find the part to begin, and then we are going on to find that small percentage and add that to the total, or to the original price to get the total. And similarly with method 2, we are like our previous days, we are going in to find the 100%. So we're saying that we're paying 100% of the price plus the added percent, and that ends up being 105.75%. So then we go in and we're just finding that total price. So what the 100% means is that you're already paying 100% of the price plus an added percentage. So that's just what I'm comparing, and we are going to look at our two methods here. So I am going to write a math problem down, and this is our example that we are going to use as we practice looking at tips and our markups. So remember that a tip is a small amount of money in return for a service, and a markup is when a store sells an item for more than what it costs. So a markup usually helps a company or a seller make money. So that's why they mark up their prices. So we are going to go ahead with an example now that I'm going to write down. Okay, and also you guys, since the audio got kind of weird on this, make sure that you're just copying down things. I did highlight our tips and markups orange just so that we can have a little bit of a difference. I do like the importance of highlighting in different colors so that way we can keep one concept together and a second concept together. This is a really good note-taking strategy, and I'm trying to prep you guys for junior high where you might not have as much help with your notes and your note-taking, so really use this to your advantage and keep practicing at that. Okay, so let's look at our problem. So our example, after I finish writing it, my hand will get out of the way. A customer wants to tip 15% on a restaurant bill. So say you go 15% on a restaurant bill, that is $35. So what will the total be? So what will the total bill be? So you went out and say you went and got cheeseburgers and it was $35 and your waiter or your waitress was super awesome, so you want to tip them 15% of that total. So you want to give them some of that price so that they can be rewarded for their awesome work because they were working to serve you and make sure that you were happy. So you're going to pay 15% of the original price or the original bill. So remember, we highlighted up at the top, or we underlined, the total cost of an item is the regular price, and then we are finding basically the percentage that we are going to pay on top of it. So we're going to our next page, and we are going to look at our first method, and I'm writing at the top the topic, so sales tax, comma, tips, and markups. So I'm going to make sure I put continued so I just know that I'm still working on that concept, and I'm checking the page number, and it is page 13. It's hard to believe that we're only on page 13. Pretty awesome, but I think that our notes are going to be super useful as we keep moving forward. So now I'm going to go ahead and write our different examples because like our two different methods, because like our first version, we had two methods, and these are actually going to parallel them. So we are looking at paying $35 as our regular price and finding 15% on top of that we want to tip our waiter or waitress. So method 1, make sure you write that down and highlight it in the same color that you highlighted your first color or underlined, or your first topic you underlined, or maybe drew a circle around just so you can see that it's different. So for our first method, we are going to have the option to, I'm waiting for my hand to get out of the way, add the tip or markup to the regular price. So we're saying that our regular price is $30, and we're trying to find 15% on top of that. So we want to see what that total price would be. But we are going to find first the percentage of the bill, so we're going to find 15%, and then add it on to the regular price to get the total price. Okay, so our first step, you're going to find the tip / markups. This was what you will use for both tips and markups. So again, we have our beautiful little formula or equation that we've been using. So we have part equals percent times whole. I just ran out of some room, so this is your spot to write that. And remember that when we are looking for only the percentage, we're just doing the part. So we're not doing the whole yet because we're going to add it on to our regular price to get the whole. So it works for both markup and tip. All right, and in this situation, we are going to allow t to represent tip because we always have to have a variable that we are solving for. So I'm going to fill t into our formula. So I know that I'm looking up for the part, so it's going to equal part. So that's what I'm looking for because I'm going to add that to my total. In our other method, we will be looking for the whole. So we're looking for 15% of the $30 bill. So we have to multiply 15%, so we have to multiply 0.15 because we moved our decimal place 2 to the left, our percentage 2 to the left to become a decimal. So basically we are doing 0.15 times 35. So remember back to our vocabulary, 15% of 35 is basically what we're finding, which is why we are multiplying. So it's kind of interesting that that all goes together. Okay, so if you want to pause and try and find the answer right now, that would be great. If not, you're going to see the answer here in a second. We have $5.25 that you are going to be adding on. So this is just the percentage. So 15% of 35, I kept saying 30, of 35 is $5.25. So now for our step 2, we need to add our tip, so our percentage, so our $5 to the regular price, and this will get us our total amount. So when you're looking at a bill, if you go out to dinner, you will see the bill, like the cost, and then you'll see a little line under that where you can add the tip amount. So this is where you would do that math, and then you would put the total. So we would add our $5.25 and then get the total. So we found our 15% of 35, and we added 30 and 15.25 because we are adding our 15% to our whole bill, and we got our $40.25. So you are adding the part to the whole. So we're finding 15% of our total bill and adding that on top of our $35 that we are already planning on paying because we wanted to tip our waiter or waitress for being super awesome. So, this is a really awesome life skill that you'll be able to use, and I highly recommend that you, next time you go out to dinner, or even, you can see this on receipts when you pick up a pizza or something. Help your family members calculate the tip just for fun and kind of show them your skills. Because this is something that you're going to use pretty much for the rest of your life, which is why I love this part of our math. It is very realistic, and it's something that we will continue to use, and it's very applicable. So we're going ahead and writing method 2. So method 2, similar to our other method 2s from yesterday's work and today's work, is that it is adding the percent of the tip / markup to 100%. So we did that if you look back yesterday at method 2 as well as today's method 2 for our sales tax. So why we do that 100%, guys, is so that we are saying we are already paying 100% of the bill. So we're already paying that $35, but we want to add 15% on top of that. So we're adding our 100% plus 15% to say that we're going to pay a little bit extra of our bill so that we can give it to our waiter or our waitress for our tip. And similarly for your markup, you can just add that on to your original price. So that 100% plus whatever percentage you're paying extra. So for step 1, you guys can circle it or underline it or whatever you need to do so you remember that it is step 1. You are going to add the percent of the tip / markup to 100%. So add percent of tip to 100% or markup. So use both. So you can use it for both markup and tip, and we are going to find that now. So we have 100% of the bill that we're for sure going to pay, and then on top of that we want to pay an extra 15% so that we can give it to our waiter or waitress as a tip. So we are adding 100% plus 15%, and we get 115%. So that is the number that we are working with now. Again, that is our whole, so we're paying the total bill plus 15% more. So now we don't need to look for the part like we did in our last example because we already know the part. So we're really looking for the whole. So we're saying we're paying 100% of the bill plus 15% more. So for step 2, make sure you write it down, circle it, whatever you need to do. We are going to let T represent the total. So our total number, so that's our $35 plus that 15% extra. And then we're going to solve the problem. And again, going back and comparing it to method 2 from earlier. So we're doing the same thing, finding 100%, we're using 100% of the bill and then adding that 15% on. Okay, so here is our little equation that we're going to use here, and that is part equals percent times whole. So we are going to let t equal, because we're solving for the total now, so not the whole. So we are going to put t equals our 115%, because we already know that 115% is what we're going to pay of our $35 bill. So make sure you move the decimal place 2 to the left, and you should get 1.15. Then we're going to multiply that by 35 to get what we would pay. So now we already found the 100% of the bill and the 15%. That's why we don't have to go through that extra step of adding on that tip amount to that 35. So this way we've already found that we're paying 100% of the bill and that extra 15%. So this one kind of helps you skip a step compared to method 1, which is really nice and efficient, and there's less room for error. Okay, so when we multiplied it, you should have gotten the same answer, $40.25, as your last problem. So we are working with money. So if when you're multiplying or dividing, you end up going out to 3 spaces, make sure you just round up to the nearest hundredth. So if it's a 4 or below, that you just leave it. And if it's 5 or above, you move that 100th place up one number, one place value. Because in money, we don't have thousandths for cents. We go straight to the hundredths, so we have only 2 places behind the decimal point. So you'll be working with both of these concepts today. If you have any problems, please reach out to your math teacher. We would love to help you, and we really want you to succeed. So bring any questions that you have to your live.